In our first headline, Vogue Editor-in-Chief Anna Wintour shares her advice on how to dress to land that job. And by the way, the advice is not dress to impress. In our second headline, we seem to be renting more and more things from clothing to other people's houses and cars. But what about pillows and blankets? It could be happening if West Elm and Rent the Runway have their way. Those two headlines, plus the big idea tying them all together, and much more on today's Money in the Morning. Welcome to Money in the Morning. I am Bobby Rebell from the Financial Grown Up Podcast, coming to you from my very grown-up kitchen in New York City. My partner, Joe Saul-Sehy, couldn't be here today. He and his mom, he normally comes from his mom's half-finished basement, have hit the road, and they are traveling on some very important business trips, but they will be back soon. This is the podcast where we cover two recent stories ripped from the financial press. Not only do we read them, like some of those other podcasts, we get into why they matter to you, and then we wrap it all up with a big idea at the end of today's show that you can take with you and make your own. Money in the Morning is brought to you by Tiller. Manage your money 10 times faster in a spreadsheet with Tiller, the only service that connects your banks to Google Sheets and Excel with your daily spending, transactions, and balances. Go to stackingbenjamins.com/Tiller for more data. All right. Hey, everyone. Thank you for joining us. As I mentioned in the introduction, my partner, Joe Saul-Sehy of the Stacking Benjamins podcast, is traveling on business. Actually, he's giving a speech on podcasting to a crowd at PodFest in Orlando as of this taping. But I am here and I've got Laura with me. So, Laura, let's do some headlines.
Here are today's Money in the Morning headlines. Ready, set, go.
Here we go, my friends. Headline number one. This is what Anna Wintour says you should wear to a job interview. It is by Nicole Lynn Pesce. I hope I'm saying that correctly. Pesce. And it is from MarketWatch, one of my favorite publications. I love MarketWatch. They have a lot of really great stories, and you hear a lot of them here on Money in the Morning. All right, let's start with the piece. The biggest mistake that many people make in dressing for a job interview is wearing something that doesn't suit them. Or so says fashion queen bee, Vogue Editor-in-Chief Anna Wintour, who claims that candidates who dress to impress her rather than expressing themselves often miss the mark. Here's a quote from Anna. Quote, "I'll always remember a young man who came in a dress and a handbag, and I gave him the job on the spot. You have to dress for yourself. It's the same for any job you might be going for. I think it doesn't do yourself a service, one more time. I think it doesn't do yourself a service to fake it." So that is a quote directly from Anna Wintour. Wintour, 69, revealed in the latest episode of Vogue's Go Ask Anna video series that she can sense when someone shows up to an interview wearing something that still has the tags on it. Sometimes you feel they're wearing clothes that they just bought that morning, or maybe the night before, or not something that in any way suits their personality or who they are, she said. I think that what everyone should remember, whether they're interviewing at Vogue or indeed anywhere, that that we're not hiring your wardrobe. Your wardrobe is not going to be doing the job for you. It is who you are. So I'm going to go on because there's some contradictory information later in the article, but I just want to point out this surprised me because she's talking about that the clothing isn't really about who you are, but her whole business is about telling people to express themselves through their clothing. So she is saying that because she's telling people to express themselves through the clothing, but at the same time, she's saying the wardrobe doesn't matter. But clearly, it does. And I also think it's interesting that she hired this man who was wearing a dress and saying that was great. But that's really for Vogue. That's really not going to be true for a lot of things. So let's go on with this MarketWatch article. All right, on the heels of Wintour showing a refreshing acceptance of people's fashion choices, the traditionally buttoned-up Goldman Sachs Group, and guys, this is where it gets different, revealed on Tuesday that it is relaxing the investment bank's suit and tie dress code. A leaked email written by its 3 senior leaders stated that, given our one firm philosophy and the changing nature of the workplace generally in favor of a more casual environment, we believe this is the right time to move to a firm-wide flexible dress code. There's some caveats that are not clearly defined, however, such as the warning that, quote, casual dress is not appropriate every day and for every interaction. That's a key sentence there. Not for every day and not for every interaction. And that it's up to the employees to, quote, exercise good judgment in this regard. Assuming that, quote, all of us know what is and is not appropriate for the workplace. It suggests dressing in a manner that is consistent with your client's expectations. Okay, and then also the article goes on to talk about JP Morgan making a similar announcement a couple of years ago. This is where I think we should focus, though. Career coaches and job recruiters still suggest erring on the side of dressing up, particularly during the interview process. Showing your personal style is okay, especially nowadays as it's becoming more acceptable, and things are definitely more relaxed than ever, Ariel Schur, CEO of ABS Staffing Solutions, told MarketWatch. But personally, when making a first impression, I still like to err on the side of caution. Of course, dress codes vary by industry. You run the risk of making yourself look out of place by showing up to a tech startup full of workers wearing jeans and hoodies if you're in a 3-piece suit. Then again, while wearing a vibrant print and gold sneakers could impress the hiring team at Vogue, hello, Anna Wintour, it would probably be a deal breaker at a conservative financial institution or if you're interviewing for a senior management position. Quote, you have to play to your audience, says Eliza Licht, a marketing and communications executive and author of Leave Your Mark. Excuse me. And Eliza Licht goes on to say, what industry are you talking about? And what is the role? So those are really good points made by Eliza Licht. So while you're researching the company to prepare for your interview, also look at pictures posted on its site of worker social media pages to see how employees dress and to get a sense of the company culture. Or ask anyone in your network that works at the company about what not to wear. If the interview is being coordinated through HR at a company, it's okay to ask what the traditional dress code is there. Or if you're working with a recruiter, there are other tools and resources because they've been there and they can give you insights. One of my favorite parts of my job is helping people pick out their interview outfits. But there is some leeway, guys. And let's go back to Eliza Licht. So she's the marketing and communications executive and author of Leave Your Mark. And she says, I don't think, quote, the suit is the interview look of any company anymore, unless you work in finance and maybe the legal profession. And suggested that while sharp, well-pressed separates are perfectly appropriate interview attire, they must look polished. If something is really wrinkled, stained, or looks like you slept in it, it looks like you're not even trying. And then the final words are, the filter any single person should ask themselves before going into an interview is, what is the message I am sending? What do I want them to walk away with thinking about me? That's also from Eliza Licht. From your overall appearance, your interview outfit, what is your personal brand saying when you step into that room? So I think that it's an interesting contrast because Anna Wintour, on the one hand, is saying, don't be anything that's not yourself. But at the same time, how you dress in your personal lives when you're truly expressing yourself could be very different from the expectations of a workplace, and you do want to get the job. And the example that she gave of the young man that was wearing a dress, well, that's probably in some ways appropriate for Vogue. So he was dressing and probably as his true self and probably was a great hire for Vogue, but he's dressing appropriately for the interview. So if you want a job, for example, at Goldman Sachs, and they're advocating for casual workwear, that doesn't mean casual like not put together, not polished. It means a polished version of casual because you are your own personal brand. One of my favorite things in this piece is the advice that they give us, that is to look on social media. Because you can look first at the company's own official pages, but also you could maybe look up if you know people at the company. I mean, you don't want to be a little too stalkerish, but you could definitely be looking up, for example, the person and the people that you're going to be interviewing with and looking at the way that they present themselves, because you do want to dress in a way that will indicate to them, number one, that you care about the interview, that you want the job, because why else would you be bothering, right? And then also that you would fit in. You want to look like you could be in that place, like they could be having a meeting with you the next minute right after your interview. that you belong there. All right, let's go to some audience questions. Actually, hang on. And for those of you that are listening to the audio version, I do want to explain we tape this podcast in front of a live Facebook audience. So we do have our audience participation, and you guys should join us. To do so, just go to facebook.com/iStackBenjamins. Definitely set your alerts because then you'll get an alert. I try to put the alerts up maybe 2 hours before we're going to tape. Sometimes they're less, sometimes they're more, but we do try to give you guys as much warning as possible. And we are working on a regular schedule. But as you know, because Joe's not here today, we do travel. So sometimes we can't make it on the exact times that we would like to be the regular schedule. But facebook.com/iStackBenjamins, be part of our conversation, just like Rebecca, who has a nice comment on this. And Rebecca says, research for everything when interviewing. We also have a comment from Mike. Mike says, if you are a blogger, comfort over fashion. If you are a high-end reporter doing live Facebook videos, fashion over comfort. Hashtag expectations, hashtag matter. Love that. All right. We also have... we have Chris commenting. Now, so by the way, if you guys are listening to audio, sometimes our Facebook Live audience actually just speak to each other and completely ignore what I'm saying. So Chris is speaking to Bethany. They're both in our Facebook Live audience. And he says, Bethany, if that's what you wore, I would hire you on the spot. Let me look down and see. What did Bethany say? Bethany said, you mean I shouldn't buy new clothes this weekend for my interview next week? LOL, if it were up to me, I would probably wear a Star Wars shirt and Chucks. Okay, Bethany, that's not going to get you hired at Goldman Sachs. One more comment from our audience, and this is from Dylan. And Dylan says, one of the important things is to make sure that your clothes fit appropriately. If suits are the norm, wear one, and make sure it's not 3 sizes too big. That is excellent advice, Dylan. Thank you so much for your serious contribution to the show. Oh, let's do one more. Kathy says, I always dressed up and took extra clothes in case hands-on was needed, and then I changed. That's actually really smart. I like that, Kathy. All right, let's go to our takeaway from this story, and that is Vogue with caution. With all due respect to Anna Wintour, her advice is absolutely appropriate if you're looking for a job at Vogue, but if you're going to Goldman Sachs, you may want to dress appropriately for the job at Goldman Sachs or whatever bank you want to get hired by, or excuse me, or whatever place you're interviewing. You should look on social media, ask people. I love the tip of just call the HR people. Ask them, what should I be wearing to this interview so that you can feel your best, because you're actually going to feel better about yourself if you feel like you fit in and you're happy with your clothing. If what you feel your sort of best self, I mean, that may not be the right thing for work. You may love your sweats and your yoga pants or whatever your casual weekend wear is, baseball hats, whatever you guys want, but that's really not going to get you the job. And I do think for most places, if you're a guy, wearing a dress and a handbag may not be the slam dunk you guys are looking for. So let's move on to headline number 2. This one strikes very close to home in a good way because, as many of you know, I am a fan of Rent the Runway. I am not wearing Rent the Runway today, but I often am when you guys see me on Facebook Live, and it allows me to kind of switch up what I'm wearing and not get bored wearing the same things and not spend all my money on clothing for my job. Here is the piece. It is by Elizabeth Seagram. I hope that I am saying this correctly. And the piece is from Fast Company. It is from Fast Company. Sorry for the delay, guys. Okay. Rent the Runway has found that customers are willing to rent almost anything the brand makes available. Our blankets and throw pillows a step too far. Well, first of all, I'm interested to see what kind of comments we get from the Peanut Gallery here on Facebook Live. All right. We're already getting some comments. We'll get to those in a minute. Here we go. When I first got Instagram nearly a decade ago, my feed was like a virtual Vogue center spread full of gorgeous images and leather jackets and the new It bag. But as I've gotten older and invested more time and money in my home, it has begun to look a lot more like Architectural Digest or Elle Decor. These days, I drool over gorgeous armchairs draped with cashmere throw blankets and lambskin pillows. By the way, guys, I do not have any of those. The article goes on to say, Rent the Runway has noticed that many of its customers have a similar mindset. Since 2009, the company has made it possible to rent rather than buy fashionable clothing. But starting today, in a major news development, Rent the Runway is now allowing customers to rent home goods too. In a partnership with the furniture company West Elm, Rent the Runway will now let you rent 26 different, quote, home bundles of trendy decorative pillows, throws, shams, and blankets so that your home can be just as on trend as your closet. Yes, you heard that right. Rent the Runway and West Elm are betting that you'll be down with bringing throw pillows into your home that another customer and her dog snuggled on. I was kind of thinking, they're saying dog as if that's kind of not so good. My dog would be no problem. Maybe I was thinking babies. Babies can be a little messy. Anyway, that another customer snuggled on. Rent the Runway subscribers will be able to rent these bundles as one of their rotating spots in their Rent the Runway Unlimited, which costs $159 a month, or Rent the Runway Update, which costs $89 a month membership programs. Customers can hold onto these home bundles for as long as they would like, from weeks to months. If they want to buy the pieces, they can purchase them at a discounted price. Jennifer Hyman, co-founder and CEO of Rent the Runway, believes renting home products will be particularly valuable for millennial and Gen Z consumers who move frequently and don't want to buy home decor. That's interesting, because they'd have to get rid of them, I guess, when they leave the apartment. Quote, their lives are very dynamic and they're constantly moving as they enter new life stages. The home category seems very well suited for the circular economy. The circular economy is a popular idea today in business. Until recently, the norm for consumers was to buy products, use them, then throw them away. A more sustainable model is one in which consumers use a product, then either return it or resell it so that it circulates in the economy for longer. A perfectly circular system would be one in which product is recycled rather than thrown in a landfill at the end of its life so that it gets turned into new products. Renting apparel allows each item of clothing to be worn more times. This makes it arguably more sustainable than buying clothing, although we still need to factor in the environmental cost. This is a good point here. The environmental cost of dry cleaning and shipping clothes back and forth. Now we're seeing the rental model move into the home goods space with startups like Furnish, that's spelled Fernish, and larger corporations like IKEA, making it possible to rent rather than buy furniture. West Elm already makes some pieces of furniture available through Feather, and Alex Bellos, West Elm's president, says the company is actively exploring more avenues for rental. And so the West Elm president goes on to say, quote, we know our customers are already participating in the circular and sharing economy. We also know that our customers are taking their home style into a public space by sharing pictures of their homes on social media. We want to be part of all that. Rent the Runway helped to normalize the idea of renting everyday objects that were once only available for purchase. It also created a lucrative business model. Unlike other retailers, Rent the Runway can purchase a garment once but continue to make a profit on it as it is rented repeatedly. Last year, the company was valued at almost, drumroll guys, $800 million, and it has been profitable for several years now. Our goal, this is from Jennifer Hyman from Rent the Runway, quote, our goal has always been to create a new model for dynamic ownership. It creates a new relationship between a customer and a thing that they don't need to own forever, whether that thing is a piece of clothing or home decor. But Rent the Runway is also an expert at the logistics of rental, at taking an item that one customer has used and making it look new for the next customer. It makes sense for Rent the Runway to begin with home textiles since it has the largest, it has the largest dry cleaning operations in the world and has lots of experience making used fabric look good. All right, let me take a couple comments from our Facebook Live audience. And for those of you on audio, as I mentioned earlier, if you want to be part of our audience, by the way, we do a lot of giveaways. You should definitely be part of our Facebook Live audience. Facebook.com/iStackBenjamins. Comment number 1 is from Dylan. Quote, it is like renting a TV or couch from Rent-A-Center. Renting ends up being almost 3 times more. Well, that's actually an interesting point. However, I think if I understand correctly, and maybe I'm not getting this right, I believe those places you rent it and then is it rent to own? I'm not really sure. But that is an interesting point because the whole idea of renting is being reframed because you have this monthly subscription model and you're kind of swapping out the items. But it is a good point that you're paying this money every month, either $89 or $159, depending on what model you use and what membership model. And at the end of the year, you don't own anything for that money. So it is a good point that Dylan makes. Rebecca has a comment. She says, okay, maybe for staging a house for sale. That is an excellent, excellent point. This is something that is gold for realtors and people like that. It's also really good if you have a home that you feature a lot. If you are an influencer in social media and you are constantly taking pictures in your home, if that's effectively your studio and you want to switch things up, that's very good. I also could see it if you were maybe having a party and you had a theme and you wanted to get different pillows that maybe fit a Halloween theme or fit a Valentine's Day theme. You could just outfit your apartment with all of this red and pink, whatever, for Valentine's Day and have a really nice Valentine's Day party. So I think they're really good for occasions. But again, the crowd here doesn't seem too in favor of this. Let's go to Bethany. She has a comment. $159 a month, Bethany says. I could buy new pillows and blankets for that much every month and sell them to actually get a return on my investment. Well, first of all, in the case of Bethany, Bethany could definitely pull that off. She is one savvy lady. For many of us, though, the way that Rent the Runway works is you're paying $159, but you get 4 items at a time for that. And so this bundle, which they have 26 bundles as of now to choose from, would be one of your 4 choices. So you would be getting other things also. So I guess from about 160, maybe it's costing $40 a month. And they described them at the beginning. They sounded kind of fancy, Bethany. So maybe the idea is that these are fancier pillows that you would normally get. I personally don't have such fancy pillows. Maybe I'll get really interested in fancy pillows. I don't know. Right now, that's not something high on my list, but it does give you the option. So maybe you're having a party and maybe you're afraid if you have a child that your child might make the pillow messy, might get a stain on the pillow. Children are known to be messy. Maybe they throw some spaghetti on the pillow and then the dry cleaning is really their problem. So I could see it being appealing in that way, but I also understand what Bethany's saying. That $159 at the end of the month is gone. And many people, you could definitely go to many stores that I like to go to. I'm sure Bethany knows good stores and get some great pillows for $159. But again, it's really $40 for that package, and maybe we have to look at this. I looked at Rent the Runway before I came on. I didn't see anything there yet, but you're also maybe getting a blanket. I don't really know. We'll see. And Kathy points out, yeah, I mean, we're kind of coming to this realization. Kathy says, what are you saving on? 1 pillow and 1 blanket lasts for a while. I just have to believe that maybe these are really special blankets and pillows that people would not. Or again, maybe they're like quirky fashion items that say funny sayings that you would not want to really buy, but maybe you want to have for a party, that kind of thing. And they do get wrapped into the subscriptions that many of the Rent the Runway customers already have. So that might be part of it. As I said, the social factor is really big because people are now featuring their homes on social media. So that's a big incentive for them. The home wardrobe is a concept that they're pushing. The idea that you don't just have your wardrobe for what you're wearing, but maybe when you have people over, you want to do a home refresh and have your home look a little bit different every time you have people over. We are also seeing a rise in people that have the job of home stylists, not just wardrobe stylists. I don't use either one. Maybe it shows, but this is something that is very popular. So this is a way to kind of DIY the whole idea of home styling. And also the other thing this could be good for, guys, is if you own an Airbnb, if you are renting out your home or you run Airbnbs, it is a way to do maybe seasonal redecorating, freshen up your Airbnb for a new group of clients, that kind of thing. If you're constantly rotating them, you don't have to worry as much about the dry cleaning. So I could see it, but I feel like the crowd here is not really embracing the concept. So let's wrap this up. The takeaway here on the Rent the Runway home goods segment is cost benefit analysis isn't just for business. And I think our group of Facebook Live audience members have done a really good job kind of giving the counterpoint view of what Rent the Runway and West Elm is saying. And that is that, it's really more of a want than a need. And they're trying to create a want, which is okay. Look, we live in a capitalist society. If this is something people want to do and they see value in, this will be very successful. Many of the people, like myself, that are the targets of this are already paying the money every month to do clothing rental for whatever their motivation is. And so for them, this may just be something to try out. So we'll see how that goes. final comment, though, from Dylan. The ever, you're just so eloquent, Dylan. Dylan's comment is, why? Why? So anyway, I would love to hear from you guys. You should definitely be in touch with both me and Joe Saul-Sehy. Joe's Twitter handle is at Average Joe Money. Mine is at Bobby Rebel, because I want to hear what you guys think about this conversation here. Before we get to the big idea, I do want to talk about the show's sponsor. And that has to do with getting organized with all of your finances so you can figure out maybe you do want to splurge on renting home goods. I don't know. I think it's an interesting to try. You could always cancel it. But then again, you're kind of thinking about where it was. Anyway, Money in the Morning is brought to you by Tiller, which is great for you to get a really clear view of where your money is going. You can manage your money 10 times faster. Tiller gives you spreadsheets. You can do it through Google Sheets. You can do it through Excel. And it tracks your daily spending, your transactions, your balances, and basically gives you the information to make the decisions that are right for you and have more money ultimately and reach your financial goals. So if you want to check it out, and of course, if you do this, please use our link. Go to stackingbenjamins.com/Tiller. They will give you more information. And of course, if you use our link and you do sign up, they do send us a thank you, which helps us keep podcasting, and we really appreciate it. So let's look now. I did see at least one suggestion for what the big idea was going to be. Oh, Dylan, let me just get this one comment in from Dylan. He has added to his very eloquent why by saying, these better be organic llama fur pillows that sing me to sleep. We will investigate that, Dylan, and we will get back to you. All right, let's see if we had any guesses for the big idea. I saw one. Bear with me, guys. Here we go. Kathy has a guess. It is, change is good, but use good judgment and know what is happening around you. Well, that's a good statement. I think that, yeah, that's important. I'll take that, but that is not the big idea for today. Oh my goodness, Kathy has 3 big ideas. Let me see if I can find them quickly. And for anyone listening, what I'm doing right now is I'm going through the comments of our live Facebook Live audience. And you can join us by going to facebook.com/iStackBenjamins and join the party. All right, I don't know if I see any more big ideas. So we are going to, we got one more, sorry. All right, from Kimberly, set the expectations low with people and you won't need to impress them with fancy towels, pillows, or clothes. They'll just be happy. Oh gosh, Kathy, they'll be happy if you shower. But we're just being real here. We're doing it live. All right, we have another big idea suggestion, this one coming from Dylan. Don't listen to these industry experts and do what works for you. Okay, that definitely goes for something that I really, really like, Dylan. So thank you for that. I think that is always good advice. And it's kind of similar to the big idea that we have today. And that is basically to take ownership of your personal brand, even if you rent it. How you present yourself impacts your finances, whether you like it or not. I know Anna Wintour says that men can wear dresses and purses to interviews and she's going to hire them. But you know what? In most cases, they probably won't. Not because there's anything wrong with that, but because companies in general want to feel that you are going to fit in. And they also want to know that you took the time and cared enough to prepare for the interview and dress appropriately so that you can make the best impression for them. To get the job, you have to be your authentic self, as Anna says, but you also, at the end of the day, have to dress appropriately. Your home is also a reflection of your personal brand, so you should take good care. But be wary adding monthly bills that you don't need. Clothing is one thing. It goes out of fashion. So there's a very good case to make for renting clothing, especially for special occasions, if you need to wear it once. But home decor, I don't know. I feel it's more of a want than a need, and I have a sense our audience here really feels the same way. So with that, we are going to wrap up this edition of Money in the Morning. Thank you guys all for joining us. We had the most amazing studio audience. Follow Joe and I on Twitter. Joe is at Average Joe Money. I am at Bobby Rebel. And guys, if you want to be a financial grown-up, I botched my ending. I'm going to say it again. If you want to live a rich life, you have to be a financial grown-up, and you also have to maybe not ad-lib as much as I do. But this is a fun show. This is live. Thank you all. Love you all. Have a great weekend. Bye.
This show is created by Joe Saul-Sehy, hosted and produced by Bobby Rebell and Joe Saul-Sehy, is engineered by Caden Thompson, and all put together by a pack of well-trained ferrets down here in Joe's mom's basement. You'll find Bobby at the Financial Grown-Up Podcast and Joe at the Stacking Benjamin Show. Go say hi to them there, too. Online, visit us on Twitter at Average Joe Money and at Bobby Rebell, or come join a live recording at our Facebook page. That's facebook.com/iStackBenjamins. I know you already know this too, but Money in the Morning is for entertainment purposes only. You should not act on anything recommended by a bunch of entertainers in a basement or even a Manhattan kitchen without first consulting your financial advisor. And second, dude, have your head examined. Have headlines you'd like us to discuss? Send them to joe@stackingbenjamins.com or put them on our Stacking Benjamins closed Facebook group. This show is a collaboration of Stacking Benjamins LLC and BRK Media LLC. Copyright 2019. All rights reserved. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor Doug, and I reserve the right to always say, we'll see you next time back here on Money in the Morning.